10 years ago, we probably could not have conceived that drones would become a consumer item. Now you can buy one that is not of the toy variety for under $500. I'm David Haig from Creative Content, and I've been flying drones for around 8 years now. This tutorial is aimed to help you choose a drone, walk you through what to look for when buying a drone, the rules and regulations you need to abide by, and a quick primer on how to advance your drone training using certification. Up front, I'd like to thank Global Drone Solutions and its Managing Director, Mahmood Hussain, for assistance in putting this tutorial and video together. Drones, sometimes called UAVs or unmanned aerial vehicles, come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, with features depending upon what the drone is designed to do. The most common drone, from the consumer point of view, is the one that has a built-in camera to shoot photos and video, but other models are designed for racing, mapping, agricultural spraying, search and rescue, surveillance, and sadly, of course, they're also used in combat. This video is concentrating solely on the consumer level drone, and in Australia at least, this is synonymous with the DJI brand. The models available to the consumer range from the very basic, like the original Mini, through to more advanced versions with better photo and video capability, such as the Air 2S, sophisticated obstacle evasion technology like in the Mini 3 Pro, and highly advanced camera systems as in the Mavic 3 Pro. New models are arriving all the time, with varying differences in aspects of the technology, better battery life, longer range, higher resolution cameras and so on, so it's important to work out just what you want the drone to do for you. You might want the thrill of first-person flying, using VR goggles at a specialist racing club for example, in which case you'd look at the Avata 2. Or to drop a fishing rig 200 metres offshore, you'd use an Air 3. There are a number of features to look out for when buying a drone. Some of them are obvious and some not. For example, an $80 drone from one of the tech stores or toy shops will most likely not be able to hover by itself, meaning you're bound to crash it in the early days until you master that skill. Cheaper toy drones, while having cameras, have imagery of very low resolution. And of course there's no obstacle avoidance or other safety measures. A big one is the ability to return home if something goes wrong. Due to built-in GPS systems, if you lose track of your drone or something goes wrong, you can hit a single button to make the drone return to exactly where it took off from, using the minimum power and resources it can to get home safely. Similarly, if it does crash, many drones have a built-in homing beacon to let you know where they are, and additionally, with DJI drones, all flights are logged and mapped. I'll discuss when and where you can fly in a moment, but a major feature of the DJI drones in particular is that if you're in an area classified as a no-fly zone, it will simply refuse to take off due to built-in geo-blocking. More advanced models will also warn you if there is imminent proximity to an aircraft, thus letting you land safely. Finally, check to see if you can get any sort of insurance, such as DJI's Care Refresh, so that you can ask for a replacement if you do have a crash or lose a drone. There are two major components to most drones, the drone itself and the controller, of which there are three different types. Lower cost drones use your smartphone as a viewport. This shows you the image from the camera, as well as drone statistics such as height, speed, location maps, and menus to change different aspects of the drone characteristics and functions. It is usually connected via a USB-C cable to a controller containing a pair of joysticks to control flight direction and speed, buttons to start and stop recording, change camera direction, return to home, and more. The downside is that in bright sunlight, the phone screen is very hard to see, and I find them to be a little unwieldy as well, taking a bit of time to set up. This is by far my preferred method. The controller containing the joysticks and associated other controls also has a built-in screen. This is brighter in direct sunlight than your phone screen. Technically, it has a higher NIT rating. Another advantage is there's no setup time. Turn it on and it connects automatically to your drone in a few seconds and you're good to go. This is a little like a joystick, as used in computer simulations such as Flight Sim. By using various movements of the controller, you can control the flight of the drone, viewing the imagery and on-screen information via a pair of VR goggles. Normally these are only used for acrobat and speed drones, such as the Avata 2, although standard drones can sometimes be used with a motion controller. It takes a lot of practice, and use of a simulator training is highly recommended. The joysticks control various aspects of your drone and use terms that may not be immediately familiar to you. Words such as speed and altitude are familiar to many, but are you aware of pitch, yaw and roll are? It is important to understand these terms when flying a drone. Pitch is rotation of the drone around a side-to-side axis. Think of it as the drone nodding up and down. Yaw, on the other hand, is the rotation around an imaginary vertical line through the centre of the drone. In simple terms, it is effectively changing compass direction. Roll, as the name suggests, is rotation around a line horizontally through the centre of the drone. It can be thought of as spinning. Generally, consumer drones cannot perform this action, but some of the acro drones are capable of flipping. Some of the advanced drones allow you to fly a route and save the details of the journey. You can set these points on the route, and these are called waypoints. These allow you to fly exactly the same path again by recalling that journey and flying from waypoint to waypoint. A major reason people buy a drone is to get photos and video that they couldn't otherwise achieve. As such, although you can use most drone cameras in a point-and-shoot auto mode, just as you can with your smartphone, to get the very best imagery possible, it is best to learn some basic photography and videography. If you've purchased one of the higher-end models, such as the DJI Mavic 3 Pro, it is a shame not to take full advantage of the wonderful cameras these types of drones possess. You especially need to understand such things as aperture and shutter speed, ISO, depth of field and exposure, and use the tools that are built into the controllers to assist in this area. I'll be doing a dedicated drone video and photo tutorial in the very near future, so please subscribe to this channel to be kept up to date on new releases as they happen. In a number of the online forums frequented by seasoned drone users, you will come across the term, "just send it." This refers to users ignoring any rules about where and when you can fly. Drone flying in Australia is governed by CASA, the authority in charge of airspace, and for everyone's safety, it has drafted a set of guidelines that all drone users must adhere to. If you are caught deliberately flaunting these rules, severe punishments are possible, and have indeed in the past occurred. One case I am aware of a few years back involved a person sending up their drone at a V8 supercars race. Consequently, the television helicopters had to land, a Royal Flying Doctor plane diverted, and thousands of dollars were lost. That person had their drone confiscated, received a substantial fine in thousands, and are banned from all motorsport events. More recently, someone in South Australia was hit with a $16,000 plus fine for flying over people at night. Most of the CASA rules are plain old common sense. The major ones include making sure you keep your drone in line of sight at all times, not flying higher than 120 metres above current ground level, staying more than 30 metres from people, and not flying anywhere near emergency situations including bushfires, and not flying at night. Additionally, you must not fly within 5.5 kilometres of a controlled airport if your drone weighs more than 250 grams. If the airport is uncontrolled, you can fly, but you must make sure there are no aircraft in the vicinity, and you must stay outside the perimeter fence. These rules change from time to time, so it's best to keep up to date at the relevant section of the CASA website. The web address is on the bottom of your screen. Many people want to take their drone flying to the next level. For example, they may want to fly at night, or take advantage of the maximum range their drone has beyond the CASA line of sight limit. Or perhaps they want to build a business around their drone, such as real estate video photography, roof inspections and so on. Under any circumstances where your drone flying becomes a commercial proposition, you make money from it, no matter how small, you need to be registered and obtain certification via a company such as Global Drone Solutions. To actually fly, you must have a remote pilot's license, known as an REPL. This allows you to go beyond the stage of a recreational flyer by flying bigger drones, but there are still restrictions in the license by itself. For example, a farmer who has an REPL can fly over his or her own land for the purposes of crop or livestock inspections, land surveying, or even carrying cargo if the drone allows it. The catch is, to go outside of that sort of scenario, you need to get or fly under an entity, a business or person who has what is called an REOC, or Remotely Piloted Aircraft Operator Certificate. Other restrictions still apply for flying out of line of sight, where you'll also need an AROC, or Aeronautical Radio Operator Certification. And to fly at night, CASA has to pre-approve each and every flight. These require special processes, and Global Drone Solutions suggest you contact them if these are on your wish list. Pricing for these courses can be quite reasonable, as they can be done online. Global Drone Solutions offers an REPL for $1,495, for example. For other certifications, it is a bit beyond this tutorial, and more is involved, so I suggest a direct chat with the folk at Global Drone Solutions would be your best bet. Some of this may seem a bit arduous and even perhaps a little nanny state, but you wouldn't drive a car or a motorbike on the open road without a licence, nor would you, or at least you shouldn't, drive uninsured, and you definitely would not drive without lessons and knowing the road rules. The same applies to aircraft too. And a drone is an aircraft, and even a smaller one such as the DJI Mini 3 can cause immense damage if in a collision with another aircraft or by hitting someone. I sport some scars on my left arm courtesy of a hospital visit following a rampant GoPro drone that suddenly fired up while I was holding it. I hope this tutorial has given you an insight into what is needed to buy a drone, the rules and regulations you need to follow, how to obtain advanced certification, and given you some tips on actually flying and using the drone for shooting video and photographs. I have other tutorials in the pipeline, and already have others you might like to see covering such topics as the basics of lighting, slow motion, aperture settings and more. Simply go to the web address on the screen. To be notified of new tutorials, subscribe to this channel, and for all the latest news, reviews, interviews and more in the world of creativity, visit my website at creativecontent.au. I'm David from Creative Content. Thanks for watching. Oh, one more thing. If you use a GoPro or other action type camera, I think you'll like my free 60-page e-magazine. You can download it from my website at www.creativecontent.au and select the option in the menu bar.